Why have we made this space? And some of you have heard a little bit about this, but some of you none at all. So when I first graduated college, I had a similar aspiration as many of you, right? I wanted to get building in VR. I wanted to start a VR company. But I didn't really know where to start. My college didn't offer classes in VR. I didn't know any professionals in the industry. I didn't know where to get started. So I did what a lot of people do, and I moved to San Francisco. I moved to Silicon Valley, which I had heard was the place to be, right? And there was some upsides to that. One of the things that I got to do was go to a lot of free public meetups. And I would get access to a lot of people that I wouldn't otherwise get access to, and it was really cool. I got, industry knowledge. I got to understand what the right opportunities were, and I kind of got a set of information that set my course for starting my company, right? So there's kind of two things here that make that relevant to Spatial 8. The first one you've heard me talk about, and the second one not so much. So the first thing is that COVID-19 comes along, and all of a sudden that opportunity does not exist anymore, right? Not only does it not exist, but the world has changed in a permanent way, right? So a lot of the things that were happening in San Francisco have now become geographically dispersed. That magic may never come back to those same buildings in San Francisco. And so, the first idea here was, okay, how do we capture that experience and provide it to people who, can't travel because of COVID, or maybe never were in San Francisco to begin with. So that's the first thing, right? The second thing is something I haven't actually talked a whole lot about and is a lot more personal to me, and I think is probably more important. And that's that when I was in San Francisco, even before COVID, even when, I was in the same room as these executives, when I was getting all this great knowledge, I still always felt like an outsider, right? Silicon Valley has become so successful and so famous that it does what a lot of successful, famous groups of people do. It closes down and it restricts access to who can become a part of it, right? And so something that used to be this free, open magic for developers and engineers and entrepreneurs became very difficult to access. And so regardless of COVID, regardless of anything that's happening, what I wanted to build was, a space that felt like ours, right? Something that had the same principles and attitudes and motives of Silicon Valley, but where we as a group feel like we belong, right? And so that's what this space is about to me. And so I just want to thank everyone so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Couldn't happen without you. We're going to be doing this every week. And feel free to give me feedback, whatever you want, right? Because this space is about you, and we want to make sure you get as much out of it as possible.